I'm going to talk a little bit more about creating design, and this time we're going to use two colors. And actually I'm going to use diarylide yellow mixed, and this is the high flow version. I'm going to show you how I mix it with a little bit of the open gel medium to create a thicker paint and also one that's going to stay wet longer. So this is very thin. This is the consistency of India ink. And so you do need to shake it a bit before you use the high flow. I like high flow for other reasons, and I just thought since I had it up here I would show you how if you're stuck and you don't have the color in the open viscosity or the open version, then you can make your own. So I just had to shake this up a little bit, and then I'm going to put a little bit of this out there. And it's pretty thin, as you can see. Pretty thin. And I'm going to add my open medium to it. I'm going to take, see it's white while it's wet, but it will dry clear. And I'm going to mix these two together. What happens is you're going to get a little bit more of a transparency when you use the high flow. It's just so thin, but there's certainly plenty of pigment in it. And that's not the problem. It's just that it's already kind of thin. Okay, so that should be good. Let's use that. We didn't need to mix up a lot, just a little, because we're going to be using that much of it. And I'm going to spread this on my jelly. See, when the paint does this, see if you can see that a little bit better. It's a little tacky looking. You can see ridges in it. That just means you have too much paint. It's just going to be a little too juicy. So I would just not add more. I would just spread it out with my sprayer. So when I spread it out, I can't see those ridges anymore, and so I can tell that it's a little bit more even. So now you use some of the little rectangular shapes that I just made to create another composition. And this time my shapes are a variety of thicknesses, so they're not all the same. And I'm just going to kind of put them down. No, I don't like that there. Let's try that. And so remember, where my shapes are will be white on the piece of paper because I'm covering everything but these shapes on the piece of paper. And I'm just going to, again, try to do a kind of random design. It goes right off the page here. Okay, I'm going to do that. Now I'm going to take my print. And there's a lot of space over here, but because I know that I'm going to do a second color, I'm not too concerned about that. Alrighty, so take a sheet of paper. Actually, what might be kind of fun is to use this one as my background. And I didn't register it, but I'm not too worried about that. It's going to be interesting no matter what. Oops, a little bit of sideways, but I'm just doing this to show you possibilities. Okay, Here we go. All right. So getting more interesting for sure. Where the yellow and the black come together creates, geez, a nice kind of a warm gray, right? Warm gray, would you say that is? And now we're going to do one more color here, one more color. Because one of the things that I think this lacks is a focal point. It's a nice halfway piece. It's interesting. It has rhythm. In other words, we have these varied shapes that kind of flutter across the page. It's got movement because things aren't stagnant. They're not all symmetrical. It's an asymmetrical composition. And the colors are interesting, but my eye isn't drawn to any one particular place. Maybe if it's drawn anywhere, it's drawn right here to the extra white. And what I like about this, though, is that I've also repeated the white in other places. So it's not just one place it's white. It's a little bit of repetition. This is still the largest place, but still it lacks punch for me. So we're going to do one more color here that may or may not work, but at least it will help us to understand how we can make our compositions interesting, more interesting. So we're going to put that to the side. I'm going to pick up these pieces of paper and I'm going to do one more color. I'm trying to think here what color I really would like to see. What might be really interesting. So let's just talk about this together here. Actually, I think the thing that would really be good here is not to introduce another hue, but to just go with a stronger, darker version of one of these colors. And I'm going to choose black, I think, because we had the gray and we see the gray here. And so let's just go with black as being our final color. And let's just see what that looks like. So again, I'm going to take my open black. Clean off both my items here. Don't really worry about cleaning that up. I don't think I need to. I don't think there's that much pain. I also know that black will subsume that yellow that's on there. I won't even realize that. I just like to avoid having to clean off things that much. So, and again, this doesn't need to be super, super clean because we're just going to use black. Just depends on what color that you're going to go for, whether you really need to clean up. So put some strong black down here. Surface. And going back to our same design element, let's see what happens. It's random because we don't know exactly. I'm just going to hope for the best and believe that because I'm using the same design elements, repeating the design elements, that I will end up with a strong composition. There's really no way of knowing exactly what we're going to get here, but that's kind of the fun of it. Just don't really know. So the more of these I put down, the less black I'm going to have on my piece. So I think I want not as much black. You know, I think I want to get rid of some of the black. So I'm going to keep adding my design elements to cut down on how much black we have. And I'm hoping that the black kind of gives it a punch and gives the focal point. I also don't want the focal point to be directly in the middle. You know, you don't kind of want a bullseye effect. Just because it's not that interesting, really. I'm going to take the focus away from the center. So I'm going to that. All right, let's see what we get. And I think just for the fun of it, I'm going to flip it and print the bottom on the top and the top on the bottom. Okay, pull it away. All right. There you go. I like it better. I really do like it better. It certainly got more power. I think it's still lacking a little bit of a focal point. But anyway, this gives you an idea of how you can develop a print and what kinds of things you can take into consideration as you do that.